Welcome to whoever's here. My name is Samantha Murphy. I am the network director here at Aragon Advertising. Today I'm going to be talking about breaking into pay-per-call. For those who may be thinking about it, you may be on the fence, or maybe you just want to learn about how it may be able to benefit you in the future. From someone like myself who has many years of affiliate marketing experience, but only 5 months of pay-per-call experience. 23 years doing affiliate marketing. This is my first venture into pay-per-call, so I wanted to kind of give a little bit of insight into what I've learned so far. In the first 5 months that I started here at Aragon, I've learned really and truly how beneficial pay-per-call is for advertisers. So what I'd like to do in this webinar is share with you some of the biggest benefits that I personally have learned in the short time that I've been working in this so far. Just as opposed to lead generation, and not as a lead generation isn't as good as pay-per-call, just some of the differences that I've noticed and wanted to pass on to you. So first and foremost with pay-per-call, I found that it's much easier to identify fraud. Most advertisers know that lead generation, while extremely valuable, fraud can be rampant, and it's, it's inevitable, and you hate saying that, but that's the case. So while I'm not saying it doesn't happen with pay-per-call, it seems to be, as far as what I can see, much easier to find, quicker to stop. And with lead generation, it could be a couple weeks, a month, before you realize that under the radar, you've just been getting fraud all over the place. And then down the road, you're looking at lost sources, you're looking at lost revenue, and and a lot of lost time and energy dealing with it. So it's something you obviously want to avoid. I will touch on how pay-per-call can help you avoid that later in this webinar, but that's really the first thing that I've noticed. The second thing is something that has come with me learning more about pay-per-call, but it's the first thing I learned. Your leads are more qualified. In pay-per-call, you have two types. There are really two types of potential methods of call delivery. You have inbounds, you have transfers, and each offer their own ways to ensure higher quality versus form leads. So with an inbound calls by their nature have a higher level of urgency when compared to a consumer who would rather just fill out a form and wait for the call back. So basically an inbound caller is proactive, where your form filler is going to be a reactive. For transfers, they often start off as a form lead that's called back. That's what the transfer calls are. The benefit to doing that before the call hits the buyer's line, you have a call center agent going through all of the qualifications in a script before transferring that call to the buyer. So you're taking all of those more reactive form-filled consumers, and you're going through all of the forms. You're finding the best qualified leads, you're building urgency, and you're doing all of those things before you make the transfer. So by the time it gets to your business, you have a much more qualified list of leads, and that puts your business in a better situation. It just makes you more successful with the consumer, with usually an overall lower spend from again, this is all from my short experience, but this is what I've noticed. You're going to get a better qualified customer and less money spent. I think the third one is something that I don't know if it's a personal benefit or I've noticed, but it's exclusivity. The beauty of having a phone call is that it's a one-on-one conversation. It's not a form. If you fill out a form online, it gets sent out to tens, maybe hundreds of different businesses, and all of those businesses will then fight for your consumer's business. So let's say you're the consumer. You need a hearing aid. So you go online, you find a thing about hearing aids on a website about hearing aids, you fill out a form, and then you're sitting there, and the next day you suddenly receive 25 different calls from different businesses all trying to get your business. This doesn't make your choice much easier because you're presented with too many choices. And we all know in business, you want to try and whittle it down as much as you can. If you have an opportunity to make a phone call as a consumer to a business or somewhere and speak to a one person, one professional that has been pre-selected basically by going through qualifications, and that one person is there for your needs, you're going to be more apt to use that company instead of having to sit there and make a choice between 10, 15, 20 of them. So that puts you, the consumer, in complete control, which, makes me think one of the reasons that I've been in the industry this long and some of the relationships I have that are 20 plus years, it's the power of the phone call. Even in basic account management, picking up the phone and talking to your clients, talking to your vendors, talking to anybody. When you do that, you have so much more come out of it. While lead generation is always going to be a huge part of the industry, there is really nothing like talking to somebody on the phone and asking and answering questions and getting that personal connection and the attention that really the consumer always wants. And it doesn't just have to be a consumer. Again, this goes in business as well. We've gotten to that time where, mass emails from companies trying to get your business, it's the same thing. If you do that one-on-one, there's just so much more connection, relatability, and attention. And really that's what people want, right? They want your attention. The fourth, and I'm going to say the final final benefit that I've noticed, and again, this is me personally, so if you ask anybody else here at Aragon, they probably have 15 more benefits that they can rattle off to you, but that's after years of working in pay-per-call. So I've noticed that there's a better oversight for quality assurance, and that allows for better optimization. Because oftentimes, or I would say most often times, the calls are recorded. So combined with all the technology that is out there when it comes to call tracking, call routing, and call recording, it's easier to identify the higher performing sources and the lower performing sources. The longer your campaign is running, you have the ability to alter it and tailor it to the needs and strengths of each individual buyer. Because everybody knows if you're doing this, any kind of advertising or any business at all, there's no such thing as one size fits all. Some sources perform better with some buyers and some perform better with others. And this gives you the ability to kind of tweak it as you need, as you go along. The other thing with recording the calls is you have the ability to have oversight and monitor those first three benefits that I spoke of. So you have the ability to identify and monitor fraud, qualifying those leads. Are the right questions are they answered properly? Is everything going the way that they should? Are the scripts being followed? And better quality assurance. Again, this doesn't mean that all calls, like every call that you receive is going to get a sale. It doesn't mean that pay-per-call is going to give you, it's not the be all end all. The opportunities that you receive, though, will be a higher quality than of a form lead. You've already have them on the phone. They've made the decision to speak to a professional. And you, as the business owner, you're not fighting with multiple other companies for that consumer's business. They're being handed to you almost on a silver platter, if you can say that. But I did want to go back, as I promised I would touch on identifying fraud and how pay-per-call can help do that a little faster than in lead generation. And by fraud and pay-per-call, I mean instances in which we usually call them shopper calls. And a shopper call is pretty much like a secret shopper. There's somebody who's being incentivized to call in and engage like they're a genuine consumer. So as an advertiser, as the buyer, and you're looking at your calls, you're looking at your things, at all the calls coming in, and you notice maybe 10, 15 of them that are all sounding similar. They all have the end of the call, the durations are all about the same, maybe 3 minutes, whatnot. And you just feel something's off. They're not like your other calls where one might be 15 minutes, maybe one doesn't work at all and it's 1 minute. But you take your caller IDs that you're noticing something off on, you contact your account manager here at Aragon with those caller IDs, and then your account manager has the ability to listen to all of the calls and pinpoint the problem, but they can also gain access to the publisher source where that call originated. So additionally with that as well, where the call originated and also the kind of phone that was used. For example, if you have voice over IP, if every single one of those 15 calls came from a voice over IP, they all came from the same area and they all were like the same duration, everybody knows the phrase, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck. If all signs point to fraud, it most definitely is going to be fraud. And then we immediately shut it off. So it's a lot quicker than if you have somebody in lead generation doing maybe 15 leads a month or maybe 45 leads a month, and they're just kind of flying under the radar. You know, you're not really hearing anything about how bad they are because it's only 45. That doesn't really fly in this instance. So I really think that I've noticed such a huge difference between lead generation and identifying, pinpointing, and stopping fraud. I can tell you the one thing that hasn't changed since I started in this industry. While, you know, all the technological advances, social media, and all the different ways to contact people, Skype, and the ability through tracking platforms to send mass emails to, 1,000 different people at a time, there's still that power of the telephone conversation. The phone is still one of the most powerful ways a business can engage with a consumer for the very first time. We're all technologically savvy. We're all sitting on Facebook right now. We're all, doing business through the internet. A lot of us are remote. You can tell I work remotely. But there are very few things in 2023 that I need to place a phone call about. I can do most of my work unless I'm calling calling my accounts. But I can do most of my job online. I can pay my bills online. But when I do need to get on the phone with a business, it's because I have an important conversation. It is an important conversation, whether it's calling for a fridge repair or, because my fridge leaked all over the kitchen, or I need a new insurance policy and I need the details of all the policies and I have questions about what I'm seeing online, or I need a root canal, so I need to get a hold of an emergency dentist quickly. I'm going to pick up the phone because I want that attention, and I want that attention quickly. I'm not going to wait to hear back maybe a week later and have, again, 20 to 25 businesses trying to gather my attention. But, I wanted to just share with everybody today some of those things because I was so hesitant. I have met people who do email and lead generation who are hesitant to jump into pay-per-call. I can tell you that it's not as scary. I don't know the nuances yet. I still haven't learned, a lot of the things that I want to learn. But, they always say when you are in an industry that you think you know everything, it's time to get out. So I have a lot of learning still to do. And I wanted to kind of share with you some of the things that made it a lot less scary for me to jump in with both feet. Somebody just asked a question, what the top offers are right now. So one of the things I can say is seasonality. I mean, it really does depend on the season. Say, for example, you're not going to see back to school advertisements aren't going to be very effective in February. The same way you wouldn't expect health insurance to be after open enrollment is over, or pest control for, mosquitoes in the middle of the winter. Certain offers as well are all year long, so people are always in debt. Especially after COVID, unfortunately, there are many, many, many people who are looking for debt settlement, and that is one of our biggest verticals right now. Well, I would be happy to answer any future questions under this in the group. If anybody in the group wants to address me or anybody regarding what I talked about, I would be happy to reach out. If I don't know the answers, I can definitely have one of our experts here reach back out to you. But I would like to thank everybody for listening as long as you have and for your time, and reach out with any questions. Take care.